Hey, Miss K. Johnson here, and we are getting ready to get started. We're moving into a new unit. This is a PowerPoint / introduction lesson into VS.6, Virginia and the New Nation. Let's get started. Building a new nation. After declaring their independence from Great Britain in 1776 with the signing of the Declaration of Independence, the people of the United States had a big job to do. They needed to create and organize a government for their new country. The first government formed during the war was a weak federal government called the Articles of Confederation. After being ruled by a king, many feared that a strong federal government would take away their rights. The Articles of Confederation loosely organized the United States, giving most power to the individual states and very little to the federal government. Each state had its own constitution and set of laws. In 1783, the Revolutionary War between the United States and Great Britain officially ended with the signing of the Treaty of Paris. The treaty recognized the 13 colonies as free and independent states, and Great Britain surrendered any claim on the colonies. After the war, problems with the Articles of Confederation started arising. There was no president, and Congress could not charge taxes to pay the war debt. The states were arguing with one another, and rather than acting like one nation, they were acting like 13 separate ones. Some people began to fear that the new United States would fall apart. They wanted to make changes to the Articles of Confederation. In 1787, 12 of the 13 new states chose to send representatives to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania for the Constitutional Convention. Rhode Island refused to send any representatives because they feared that changing government would make them lose power as a small state. In the end, 55 delegates attended, and these men had the responsibility of addressing problems with the Articles of Confederation. Their original purpose was to revise or change the Articles of Confederation, but they ended up writing a completely new plan of government for the new nation. This plan of new government was called the United States Constitution. The writing of the U.S. Constitution was a long and difficult process. The delegates worked for over 4 months on it. The meeting took place during the hottest months of the year, May through September. There was no air conditioning, and they kept the windows closed to keep their discussions private. The 55 delegates all had different ideas as to how the new government should be organized. They needed compromise or to come to an agreement on many different issues. Some major issues discussed during the convention were representation of the larger states versus the smaller states in the legislative branch and how long would a president serve. They even discussed the issue of slavery but were not able to come to an agreement. In the end, 39 of the 42 delegates present in the last days of the convention actually signed the Constitution. The United States Constitution continues to be the plan for our government today. What was the first set of laws called? This set of laws. The United States Constitution. Although there were very many influential Virginians involved in the creation of our new nation, 2 men stand out amongst the rest. Who were those 2 men? Madison and Washington. And what kind of government are they hoping to form? The new constitutional government of our nation. Madison was one of the representatives from Virginia present at the Constitutional Convention. He arrived in Pennsylvania in February, 3 whole months before the convention even began. He believed in the importance of having a constitution and wanted to be prepared to convince the other representatives of this. Madison kept a detailed record of the daily happenings, who made speeches, how delegates voted, what topics were discussed during the convention. These notes are the reason that we even know what happened at the convention at all. His skills at compromise helped the delegates reach agreement during the difficult process of writing the Constitution of the United States of America. All of his work earned him the title Father of the Constitution. Who was the important statesman we just spoke about? James Madison. He believed in the importance of having a constitution. He was skilled at compromise. He kept detailed notes during the convention, and he was given the nickname Father of the Constitution. Washington was another Virginian present at the convention. He was unanimously chosen by the delegates to be the president of the Constitutional Convention. After the convention was over, the people of the new United States needed to elect a leader or president, as was stated in the new Constitution. In 1788, George Washington was elected as the very first president. He was a strong leader and well known throughout the country for his military leadership during the Revolutionary War. He provided the strong leadership needed to help the young country and provided a model of leadership for future presidents. Thus, he is often called the father of our country. These actions ideas of these two prominent Virginians helped many others and Virginians and many others helped to form the new constitutional government of the United States. Which state sent Washington? Virginia. What rights do we have under this government? The right to elect the people and who you want to lead them. He was elected president because of his courage, his patriotism, and his leadership during the Revolutionary War. And he has the title Father of our Country. All right, let's move on to, B. Okay. The Constitution or plan for government that was signed by the delegates at the Constitutional Convention in 1787 was incomplete. It was missing a section that would guarantee certain rights for each citizen of their newly formed country. When the delegates returned to their home states after the convention to get support for the Constitution, there were some states that would not ratify or approve the Constitution unless a section that promised these rights was included. Virginia was one of these states, and the delegates promised that these rights would be attached and the U.S. Constitution was ratified. The Bill of Rights. James Madison was given the responsibility to make a rough draft of a list of rights to be attached or amended to the Constitution. 12 different amendments listing certain rights for the people were sent to the states to be ratified, and 10 of them were approved. These 10 amendments were known as the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights is a very important document that still today guarantees certain rights to American citizens. Some of these rights are freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and freedom of press, and the right to a trial by jury. When James Madison was brainstorming the list of rights to be sent to the states for approval, he did a lot of research. He borrowed many key ideas from two earlier Virginia documents, the Virginia Declaration of Rights and the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom. Quick questioning. What did the Constitution give people? The power to make laws and elect those who represent them. Where can you find these freedoms? They're in the Bill of Rights. And where did these ideas begin? In the Declaration of Rights and the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom. The Virginia Declaration of Rights was written by George Mason in 1776. It was a part of the Constitution written for the new state of Virginia. It states that all Virginians have many rights, including freedom of religion and freedom of press. And boys and girls, freedom of press refers to like your newspaper articles, magazines, written documents, things of that nature. Who wrote the Declaration of Rights? George Mason. What did this document state? That all Virginians have many rights and those rights cannot be taken away from you. And those rights are freedom of religion and freedom of press. The Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom, written by Thomas Jefferson, states that all people should be free to worship as they please. These two Virginia documents were very important influences on the Bill of Rights. What other Virginia document was also used in the writing of the Constitution? The Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom. Who wrote the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom? Thomas Jefferson. And it stated that all people should be free to worship as they please. The ideas expressed in the Virginia Declaration of Rights and the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom provided important rights and served as a model for the Bill of Rights of the United States Constitution. What did the Virginia Declaration of Rights and the Statute for Religious Freedom provide? important rights for people. And what did these documents become a model for? The Bill of Rights that's in the Constitution of the United States. All right, one more slide. I apologize if it seems like I'm going fast, but I only have 15 minutes and it will cut off on me, so that's why I'm moving like this. All right, VS.6C, last part of the unit. Thomas Jefferson was elected as the third president of the United States in 1800. 3 years after becoming president, he nearly doubled the size of the United States at that time. France was trying to expand its empire in Europe and needed more money to do so. Jefferson was originally interested in only buying the city of New Orleans for $10 million, but was offered the rest of the territory for only $5 million more. He accepted the offer, making one of the biggest land deals in history. The Louisiana Purchase added over 800,000 square miles of land to the United States. After the American Revolution, many Virginians began to head west. For close to 200 years, Virginia farmers had been planting tobacco over the course of the time. The soil's nutrients had become exhausted because they did not practice crop rotation and other methods of restoring the soil's nutrients. Smaller and smaller harvests caused problems for farmers trying to make a profit with tobacco. Therefore, they wanted to find new land and new opportunities. Many farmers began looking to the south and west for new land. Where did Virginians go? They went south and west. Virginians heard about the Louisiana Territory, a huge piece of land that American government owned. Almost 1 million Virginians left, changing Virginia to the most populated state, to the 7th most populated state in the United States. How did life for Virginians change after the war? It changed in many ways, especially for farming, and they went south and west. Men, women, and children from Virginia left their homes to move west. They were not only taking their possessions, they were taking with them some intangible things, as well as their traditions, ideas, and cultures. What did they take with them? Traditions, ideas, and cultures. The new communities that were settled would reflect these things. They traveled through a place in the Virginia region, Valley Ridge region, known as the Cumberland Gap, to get them to their new homes out west. The Cumberland Gap is a low point in the Cumberland Mountains where the states of Tennessee, Kentucky, and Virginia all meet. What route did they move west? The Cumberland Gap, and they had to cross the Appalachian Mountains. Here's some updated information for 2015. I'm not going to read it to you. I'm just going to let it pause there for a minute. Give you a few minutes to read it yourself. You can always pause the video and read it as well, but I'm running out of time, so that's why I'm not going to read it to you. Here's some new inventions that took place. Feel free to read about the cotton gin and the mechanical reaper. Cotton gin was created by Eli Whitney, and Cyrus McCormick created the mechanical reaper. So pause the screen and take a read on those. And then here are some questions also. Why did about the cotton gin and the mechanical reaper, and your answers. Again, you can pause the screen to read those if you need to. All right, I have about 2 minutes left in my presentation. So guys, thank you so much for that. And if you have any questions, just email me, message me on Dojo. I'm here to help. Talk to you later. Bye.